What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Reseller Greatness Podcast. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. This week, unfortunately, no guests, just stuck with me. I like to come on here from time to time, just kind of share some thoughts. Usually the guests are fantastic. I really enjoy talking to them. But I did the Techonomics video that has the whiteboard, and I have a good idea for another video coming up where I can utilize the whiteboard and show how to project the store growth based on sell through and number of items that you are listing, number of items that you do have, all of that good stuff. So that one's going to be in the pipeline. But I just wanted to come and just kind of share some thoughts and things like that. Just do like a brain dump, and hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully, I'm putting out the most helpful, most informative, most educational videos that I absolutely can. That is the mission. So if there is any content that I could put out for you guys, definitely post it below. I do want to make sure that I am meeting all of your guys' needs and expectations, because this is all I want to do. I just want to make helpful content that all of you fine folks can listen to, and hopefully, help your business, change the trajectory of your business, and maybe even change the trajectory of your life. And if I could have 1% helping somebody do that somehow, some way, that's the only thing that I want really from here on out. So, I've been doing this podcast now for about a year. In like 2 or 3 days, it's going to be a year exactly. So I do appreciate everybody for, tuning in every single week. We had over 2 million views on the channel in the very first year, which was, absolutely mind blowing and fantastic. But, there's probably a lot of new people, a lot of people come and go, especially in the reselling space. But one of the things that I want to discuss a little bit today is, a lot of you guys know kind of like my history on eBay and what I've done, where I've been, as far as reselling and things like that. So just to bring people up to speed quickly, I sold on eBay for over 15 years. I was the #1 seller in the pre-owned men's clothing category, in every single one of the pre-owned men's clothing categories, shirts, pants, shorts, button-ups, polos, all the sports categories: NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, hats, you name it. Built a 50,000 item eBay store that sold over 100,000 items per year. Talked about for probably 10 years online, since the very, very first podcast that I did in 2017, that, my wife and I, we have a plan to get after it for 15 years until my son graduates high school. Hopefully stack up enough money and make enough really good investments where, I can turn down the eBay machine world domination, because, at the peak and for a large portion of those 15 years, it was very, very all encompassing. It was 7 days a week. It was 24 hours a day. Saturday and Sunday, I was shipping 2 or 3 times per day. Super Bowl, I was shipping. Christmas, I was shipping. Thanksgiving, I was shipping. Like, it never turned off. And that's exactly what I wanted to build. And then, when I built it, and then it was solidified that, had the #1 store in the entire world per the listing quality report, millions of dollars in sales, that kind of, flipped a different switch in me to, continue to climb, to continue to keep going. And, even 10 years ago, when I said, hey, I want to build the best eBay store, I want to stack a bunch of money, I want to build my other businesses, I want to make these real estate investments where, at some point, I want to figure out a way how to get my money to work for me. And that's what me and my wife were able to do. Luckily, we are very, very fortunate. If you go back a couple podcasts ago with Benji, I talked about the infinite money loop idea that I had, where, I take the money that I'm earning, actively every single day, going to work, earning this money. And I've always put this money into my other businesses. I have a landscape company, a computer company, a tree service. I have a brick and mortar store. I want that money and those profits to go into real estate, or to go into building those businesses. I want to keep my costs low as a human being. And all the money that those businesses generate, I want to take those profits and then build and buy more real estate and improve those businesses so far and so forth, where those businesses can keep feeding themselves and be profitable and keeps growing. So the loop just gets larger and larger. And, fortunately, we were able to do that. My wife helped tremendously along this journey. She allowed me to be me. She never, told me, hey, that's enough. Hey, you're doing too much. Hey, relax. Hey, we're good. Hey, we're fortunate. She never told me any of that. So, she let me run wild. She let me do what made me happy. And what makes me happy is running wild. What makes me happy is getting after it. What makes me happy is being productive, pumping up the score on the scoreboard, and I have several scoreboards. So just always constantly getting better, always constantly pumping up the score on the scoreboard in all facets of life. So like I am immensely thankful that I found the right person that was a good fit with me, and if I wanted to rock and roll on Christmas, there was no pushback. It was no problem. So, as you guys know, on August 1st of this year, which is about September, about 2.5 months ago, the lease ended on my warehouse. I had 10,000 square feet, 50,000 items. The lease ended. And as I told you guys, I was going to condense the warehouse from 10,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. And the entire buildup of the plan that I laid out 10 years ago that worked out exactly how I said it was going to work out. I always mentioned and talked about that I was always going to be involved with selling clothing in some sort of capacity. It doesn't have to be on eBay. It doesn't have to be on Poshmark. It doesn't have to be on Amazon or whatnot. It doesn't matter. The best vehicle that I found to multiply my money was to sell pre-owned clothing. It is, in my mind, undefeated. You put $5 into the machine, you get a $20 profit. You rinse and repeat as many times as humanly possible. And for a long time of those 15 years, I was totally doing and subscribing to the as humanly possible portion of putting $5 in, getting $20 out. So, even though I don't have eBay being all encompassing of my life, where, I was really, really handcuffed to that tracking uploaded on time and validated metric, because, as a lot of you guys know out there, if you have 5 or 8 or 10 items, the post office, sometimes there's pushback where they don't want to scan your items. And then, if they don't scan your items, then you have defects, and then your seller level falls. If your seller level falls, then your visibility falls in search. So like for a really, really, really long time, going all the way back to when I was dropping off at the post office, and I've been kicked out of post offices where they say, there's too many items, we can't accept this. Now you have to go to a different post office. I've went to that post office, outgrew them. It became a burden to them. So I had to go down to a different post office. And then I started going there, and then they weren't scanning my items. I really, really, really had a tough time with getting the tracking uploaded on time and validated. Luckily, I became really good friends with a lot of really good people at the post office who sympathized and who understood everything that I was going through, bending over backwards, being there, having 2 people willing and ready to help, having a cold drink, having good conversation, taking care of a bunch of people. But even still, like that was the bane of my existence, where if I didn't get a scan by 2:30, I have to start making moves and figuring out, hey, is my normal driver on? No, I'm not. Okay, is the backup on? No, they're not. Okay, now we have a floater, and I don't know if this floater is going to scan the item. So now, like, I got to start figuring out what I need to do. And sometimes they didn't even pick up. So then I have to take my items to the post office. When I stand in line, get to the front, they go, oh, we're only going to scan 6. Decade, the last 10 years. The getting that scan of tracking uploaded on time and validated was really, really difficult. So, after all of that was behind me, and I ended up realizing that at one point, the most valuable asset for my eBay business was me sitting my butt in the chair, listing as many items as I possibly could. And then I realized, as I started building out the network of suppliers to bring the inventory in that fit the metrics, was that the most valuable asset to my business was not me sitting my butt in the chair listing items on eBay. The most valuable asset of my business was this network of people that I've built that can go out and I can compound and leverage their time in addition to mine. And they can go out and find great items, where it got to the point that they were able to find so many items that I had to open up a brick and mortar store. And my brick and mortar store prices very aggressively, and we sell tons of items over there, and it does fantastic. And then I got to the point where I started turning down great inventory because I didn't need it anymore. I had a quota for how many I needed per day on eBay, which was 250 items a day. I need a couple hundred items per day at the brick and mortar store. And then, like, once I still realized, I got out of that scarcity mentality, but I still realized that there's so much more inventory out there that is untapped, and I'm turning people away because I just can't buy forever. Like, I can't buy for a living. I have to list, and I just like my listing quota, my listing goal, I have a buying quota and a buying goal. So, like, I can't just buy unlimited quantities and listing only 250, or buying unlimited quantities and only selling X amount at the brick and mortar store. So, like, there's for a very long time, and I would say up until a little bit after COVID, I had a scarcity mentality where, like, I was very head down. I was very apprehensive about talking to other resellers. I had a lot of limiting beliefs in that, these items aren't there. Everything is very difficult to find, like, yada yada. And once COVID hit and I started really leveraging these partnerships that I have with the people who now source for me, almost going on 5 years here, just the abundance of inventory out there is totally mind-boggling, and it is untapped for a lot of us. So once I gave the warehouse back on August 1st, like I've told you guys, like my wife and I, we worked towards taking a 50-year vacation, and the last 2.5 months or so, we've only been home for about 2 or 3 weeks. We've been gone for the majority of the time. When we went out to California, a lot of you guys saw that video. I ended up finding an opportunity that was in a store, and we were able to do a dead stock dig, and we brought thousands of items back home, shipped them on a pallet. And these items were in plain sight to everyone in San Francisco. And San Francisco gets 25 million visitors per year, in addition to the people that do live there. But when I wake up every single day, and all of us, when we are responsible as business owners or self-employed or sole proprietors, when our feet hit the ground, it is our duty, our obligation, and the expectation that we have to go out there and we have to find money, we have to produce income, we have to produce profit. And I was talking to Isaiah, a good friend of the podcast, and he messaged me a couple of days ago, and he said, you know what one of the differences is that when you wake up, you go out there and you look for money, you look for opportunities. When we wake up, we let eBay do the work, and we bow down to the eBay gods, and we do any kind of eBay dance that they want us to do. And we wait for them to give us the money. We wait for them to give us the sale. A lot of us, the metric that we go by, and it's not a requirement, but that's kind of just the baseline, as an example, is we accept a 90-day sell-through, because that is the default left-hand navigation. When you click solds, the default result of data is 90 days. So Isaiah was like, it seems like everywhere you go, no matter what, whether it's a flea market that's an hour away, a flea market that's 3-4 hours away, a flea market in Georgia, you go to California, something that a lot of resellers do, and we are waiting. We're playing the waiting game. We are on defense, not so much on offense. And for me, I am very offensively minded, where I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go out and get it, and I'm going to make something happen. I think that is the opposite of a scarcity mindset, when you're on the defense trying to protect scarcity mentality, maybe trying to save our way to success. We can only save to zero. We can't save to -100. we can't save to negative $500. Like there's no like saving past zero, where our earning potential is truly unlimited. You can earn thousands of dollars, hundreds, thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Our earning potential is unlimited, but that all starts with waking up in the morning and being a self-starter and actively putting your feet on the ground and looking for money, looking for the opportunities. And another good friend of the podcast, Arwen, he came to visit. He's from the UK. He's from London. He came to visit for 2 weeks. He hung out with me for 2 weeks, and we were rock and roll for 2 weeks. And when we went to Orlando, I went to a flea market. And on that day, we were scheduled to go to 3 different flea markets. Again, I'm looking for opportunity. I'm looking for the best product at the best price. And for me, I go anywhere that I need to go to find the best product at the best price. I have a Goodwill about 6 baseball throws from my house, not very far. Probably will take 2 minutes by car to go there. It's the closest Goodwill. It's right outside the front of my neighborhood. If I could find all of my stock at this particular Goodwill, life would be fantastic. Unfortunately, it's not a great Goodwill. Do I still go there? Sure. Was it on the route? Sure. But if I could just go there and go there only, and it would fulfill the needs of my business and produce great items, and I could fill up my cart and I can come home, that would be absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, it's probably the worst Goodwill or thrift store on my old route. So if I got on here and said, hey, never mind where the best items were, never mind that. Only go to the closest Goodwill, only go to the closest bins, and only go there once or twice a week and don't go anywhere else. Saying that sounds so ridiculous, but there's a lot of people, as I just said, that are thinking to themselves, hey, wait, that's what I do. Never mind where the best items are. Only go to the closest, most convenient place for you and only go there a couple times a week, maybe once a week. Just only do that. And then expect like immense success. So when I was on the thrift route, my thrift route was 55 stores every single week. Do you think I wanted to go to 55 thrift stores? Absolutely did not. I used to go to the flea market 3 days a week, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on Saturday and Sunday, I would go to 2 different flea markets, one in Miami and then the Lake Worth one that you guys see in my videos. And the one in Miami or the one in Lake Worth, I was never the first one there. So I didn't want to go to 3 flea markets per week, 2 on Saturday and Sunday. I didn't want to go to 55 thrift stores a week, but that's what it took to find the best items at the best price. So we were talking in the morning call, and if I needed, 840 items a week back then, that means I was picking up somewhere between 15 and 20 items per store on average, where some maybe picking up 10, some picking up 25 or 30. Yes, but like I was immensely selective. My average cost or my average sales price when I was at 120 items a day and I was sourcing everything myself was over $30 plus shipping. So I was only picking the best of the best, the creme de la creme, but I was putting a tremendous amount of miles on the road. So to only go to the closest store, the most convenient store, when it's the most convenient for you and only go every so often, we're not really putting our boots on the ground and chasing opportunity and really looking for the money. So when Arwen was here, we went up to Orlando and I go to these flea markets that are far away on purpose by design. Because if I started the channel, I go to my closest flea market that's about 40 minutes away. I went there for over 10 years. All the vendors know me. Everyone's holding product for me. So that's why I go an hour away to Lake Worth. That's why I go 3 or 4 hours away to Orlando. That's why I go 4 hours away to Plant City. That's why I go 6 hours away to Webster, because nobody knows me there. There's no advantages. So when we went to the flea market in Orlando, we get there early. We get there on time. We're ready to go. It sucks, but we're there early. ready to get to work and ready to put ourselves in the best position to find product. We are looking for the money and we are looking for the opportunity. So we do a good job there. We get in the car. Arwen says, yeah, but you always say how you want to be the first one there, but we're about to go to another flea market and it's 10 o'clock. You're not going to be the first one here. Aren't you worried you're not going to find anything? And I smiled and said, no. I said, we're still going to find the most stuff. And he says, how's that possible? And I said, just wait and see. So we get there. I do a lap and, I'm saying hi to a couple of people and I do a lap. And, I pick up a couple of things, nothing fantastic, but, things slip through the cracks and not everybody knows the same thing. So it's fine. We still pick up a couple things. And then I meet up with someone who's holding inventory for me. And they pop open 3 huge totes and we leave the flea market with over 100 pieces. And Arwen was a little bit shocked by what happened. And we get to talking and he said, I get it. I understand. He said, you are in pursuit of the people, not the products. So do I go to the flea market to pick up onesie, twosies, threesies? Yeah, if it's there, I'll pick it up. But what I am really going to the flea market to do is to find the people that go to the bins and set up at the flea markets. Find the people that buy storage units and set up at the flea market. Find the people that are going to estate sale, setting up at the flea market. Finding professional vendors that are going to be there every single weekend and that have access to product and have reoccurring access to deal flow. That's why I'm going to the flea market. If I pick up a couple things here and there, a couple pairs of shoes, some Lululemon, a video game deal, that's great. But I am in pursuit, like Arwen said, so eloquently, you are in pursuit of the people, not the product. And that's exactly what I was in pursuit of. And when I started to pursue the people, not the product, my business transformed. So the thrift store served its purpose great for my business when I was sourcing all of my product myself. And the thrift store is great because it is going to offer you a steady supply of your bread and butter items. We all need those, your steady supply of bread and butter. Is it ever going to offer a life-changing or business-changing deal? Odds are probably not. But at the flea market, you have a higher percent chance of finding an item where you can hit a home run, maybe make $100 profit. A better percent chance where you can hit a home run and find an item where you can make $200, $300, $400, $500 profit. You guys watch my videos. I do this just about every single weekend. It has a better percent chance of you finding a deal. Thank you to a storage unit vendor. Thank you to someone who buys closeout. Thank you to someone who has access to deal flow of a deal that can be of heavier quantity where it can totally revolutionize and transform your business. It has a much higher percent chance than a thrift store of $100 profit items, because we all know the thrift store is siphoning those out. They're using AI, they're training employees. That stuff doesn't even make the floor these days. So you have a higher percent chance of those home run items. You have a higher percent chance of those grand slam items. Do they slip through at the thrifts? Yes, but you have a higher percent chance. You have a higher percent chance of finding those business changing, those life altering deals at the flea market. So that's why I like to use them in tangent, where the thrift store, steady flow of the bread and butter. You pick up your $20 profits, your 30s, your $50 profits. Excellent. It's great. But the flea market, if you approach it from the aspect that Arwen said and noticed, was pursuing the people, not the product, it gets you into a different kind of deal flow, and it gets you into a different kind of mentality where you are waking up and you are looking for the money. So when we went to California, I had my head on a swivel and I was looking for the money. So we passed by this store, and outside they had, a couple tables with some souvenir sweaters on it, Alcatraz, I love San Francisco, all of that kind of stuff. My wife and I were going through it, and I found a sweater that was a pro player, vintage, still brand new with tags, San Francisco 49ers. I said, oh, this is nice. The deal was, I believe it was 1 for 15, 2 for 10, 3 for 20. So, I'm still looking around and I find a Champion reverse weave of the Baltimore Ravens. I said, okay, wow, this is nice. Brand new attack. This is great. I'm still looking around, and then I find a vintage, brand new liquid blue Star Wars shirt, which is probably worth 300 or 400 bucks. And my spidey senses are off the chart at this point. So I still look again and I find a James Dean all over print shirt, probably worth 200 to 300. And now it's go time. It's go time. And then I'm still looking around and I find, a bunch of vintage sports stuff. I've tons of hats from the early 2000s, late 90s, tons of vintage liquid blue, tons of all over print shirts, tons of all over print Star Wars shirts, and Star Trek shirts. Because I'm always constantly looking for the money. I'm constantly looking for indicators of somebody that has my money. And when we walked up on that booth, I started connecting the dots. Okay, this is older stuff. It's on older tags. Some of the stuff has maybe storage stains. Some of the San Francisco stuff would have the storage stains. That's kind of like that, that orange, rusty looking spots on the sweaters. That's like impossible to get out when you wash it. So I start to see this stuff. So I'm like, okay, this stuff is sitting. These tags are from the right time frame. These sports items are from the right time frame. And then when all of that is adding up and I'm starting to look more and more and more, and I find liquid blue and vintage Fruit of the Loom tags that, thankful to the information and knowledge that I have front loaded online, looking at sold comps, looking at Google images, all of that stuff that I have embedded in the brain, giving myself the most amount of knowledge. And then all I need is just the most amount of opportunities that is undefeated, will never fail. I ended up talking to the person, asking him questions that would hopefully turn him around into the answers that I'm looking for. Because sometimes the people that do have the dead stock, they have the dead stock because they don't want to sell it. That's why they have it in the first place. So I had to talk with him, kind of keep his radar down, where he doesn't know that I have just found a bunch of great stuff and I'm very, very anxious about getting these items. So I have to keep my level down, not to blow my cover. I have to convince him by him convincing himself that it's a great idea to go into the back room and dig through everything he has to find me more of these items. And he's not the one in the decision making role. So now I got to come back and talk to the owner, which I ended up doing. And I have, a 2-part video on that where, I identified the dead stock, and the second part video is actually gaining entrance into the back room of this souvenir shop, where I go down the deepest, darkest, water all over the floor, rats crawling around, where all of this stuff was sitting back there untouched for years. And it was an absolute gold mine. Fast forward that to, my wife and I, we went to New York City for about a month. And the funny thing is, the funny thing about YouTube comments is, like, you can't win. So like when I go to a small town and buy a bunch of stuff and totally demolish the flea market, like, Plant City is not a big town. Like, there are more strawberries in Plant City than there are people. My second video ever, I went to a flea market with a town with 3,500 people. Like, there's more cows in this town than people, with 3,500 people, and crushed it at this flea market. I go to Plant City, I go to Silver Moon. These are not places with, high rises and like a huge metropolis. Like, there's more strawberries in these towns than anything else. When I go to the small towns, the comments say, but there's no competition there. That's why you can find everything. When I go to the big cities like New York and San Francisco, they say, well, the big cities have all the products, so that's why you have the advantage. So like when I go to the small town, you don't get credit for that because there's no competition. When I go to the big city that has all the competition, like everyone is there, the prices are high, you don't get credit for that because, like, supposedly there's access to more inventory. So like you can't win. But in any event, I have gone to places I've never been, found stuff in small towns. I've gone to places I've never been with millions of people, and found stuff in big cities. So when we went to New York City, and I'm going to walk you through, how I was able to wake up every single day and look for an opportunity to make money and what was going through my mind to be in a place where I've never gone to source and end up finding thousands and thousands and thousands of items. And we were there for a month, and I only really and truly sourced on Saturdays and a couple Sundays because a few of the weekends we actually got rained out. So the very first week that we went up there, we were supposed to go to the Meadowlands Flea Market, which is in New Jersey. I don't have a car in New York City. Everything is walkable. I don't have a car. So the plan was to Uber over there to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, which was about, I think, like around a 30 or a 40-minute drive. Um, so I was going to Uber over there. It was going to cost $130. I was going to Uber over there and check out the flea market. Um, but it was raining. So we woke up that Saturday. It's raining. I messaged someone that lives in New York or New Jersey, and I said, "Hey, is it a good time to go to the flea market?" They say, "No, it's raining. No one's going to show up." I say, "Okay, no problem." So I wake up and I look on Yard Sale Treasure Map, which I faithfully pay the $2.99 per year as a service to all resellers nationwide because I think that Yard Sale Treasure Map is a great resource for people that do yard sales or garage sales. I don't do a lot of them, but they provide a great service, and I pay the $2.99, and I haven't used Yard Sale Treasure Map probably in close to 10 years, but I still pay for it faithfully. So I fire up Yard Sale Treasure Map, and they show that there is a neighborhood wide garage sale on 44th Street. So it's probably a good half a mile, maybe a mile away from the hotel. So we wake up early, we head over there. It's raining, it's not great. And I put out a video for this. It's not great. We go over there. It is a whole block. So from like 6th Street to 5th Street, or however it's written, maybe, a few hundred feet of a block, and they have tables on both sides. And we go there. It's raining. There a lot of empty spaces. They're very slow to set up. And my wife was there. My son was there. And what I do when I first go to a location like that is I want to be very, very fast at this time. It's the golden hour. A lot of people ask what the golden hour is. The golden hour is when the sun is just rising and people are just putting the best stuff on the table. So, I've never sourced in New York City. Everyone told me the prices are high. So, like, that's what I'm going in expecting, that the prices are going to be very high for this stuff. So, that's my expectation. So, I'm walking around. People are just setting up. A lot of the vendor spaces are empty because it's raining. But I want to move very, very quickly at this time. So I'm moving quickly. I'm checking out what everybody has. And down towards the end, off to the right, I see a guy putting stuff on tables. And the guy said, everything is $5, $3, or $2. And I said, okay, great. But it could all be trash. So, I start looking and I'm seeing some nice stuff there. I found a rag and bone flannel. I say, how much? He says, $5. I say, okay, yeah, that'll work. Probably sell for around $50. It was a heavyweight flannel, very nice. I have good success with rag and bone. $5, great. So I start looking through more stuff. I find an Nantucket shirt, $5. I look on the ground right underneath me, and there was a pair of Salvatore Ferragamo kind of wingtip shoes. And I give him a price check. How much is this? He says $5. Well, that works great for me. Right next to them was a pair of St. John women's shoes, $5. That works great for me. So now I know it's go time. Never mind all of these other vendors out here. This is my guy. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to camp out here. And every time he brings an item out, it's going to get handed to me. All the items are going to go through me, and I'll put the items on the table that I don't want. So I'm talking him up, have a conversation. He's a great guy, decent guy, a little bit funny. We start talking, very, very knowledgeable. He knows his materials. He knows his brands. And then he pulls out a leather John Varvatos jacket, which I've had before, and to my research is going to sell for several $100s. And he says, do you want this? $5. Absolutely. So now I say, hey, I'm going to make a pile over here. I want to continue looking at your stuff. And, he's pulling out Burberry. He's pulling out All Saints. He's pulling out Gucci stuff, Prada stuff, Louis Vuitton stuff. And he knows his brands. I could tell he knows his brands. I'm talking to him. He pulls out a shirt. The spelling is MIU, MIU, Miu Miu, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just know how to sell it. And we said at the same time, this is a Prada brand. So I know he knows what he's talking about. He starts talking about the craftsmanship of the items, how they're made, what's the original retail price. So like we have this banter going back and forth. And when it's all said and done, I end up getting 50 items, and he says, "Is 250 okay?" I say, "That's more than okay. It's more than fair. I be happy to pay that." I paid him the 250. And the Louis Vuitton shoes, worth about $500 or $600. I did authentication. They came back legit. The John Barbados jacket has sales between 5 and 700. Pay $5. The Ferragamos are worth around $200, $5. The Miu Miu brand, one of them is listed for 700. Got it for $5. So like I got a lot of fantastic stuff from this person where it was raining, didn't go to the Meadowlands, could have stayed at the hotel, could have did some sightseeing as a tourist, which we had done all week leading up to the weekend. Could have skipped that particular garage sale market area and kept it pushing, and that would have been okay. But since I wake up and look for opportunities, I'm at least going to take the time and go out and go check it out. So while we're there at that little market, some of the vendors were priced high. Some of them were asking $30 for a Peter Millar shirt. And that's okay. No problem. They're just not a candidate for my business. That's okay. And I'm no stranger to that. Because when I go to the flea markets, believe it or not, there's a lot of vendors over there that are not candidates for my business. And that's okay. I just have to identify the people who are good candidates for my business, the people that are going to sell stuff for a respectable price where it's in line with my business and my business rules and philosophy, where I can purchase this item and I can make a profit. Because you guys watch the videos, I never negotiate, never. I think it's too slow. I think it bogs you down, and I think you get too emotional. If the price works, I'm paying, even if I could have got the item for a couple dollars cheaper. I don't care. If the price works, it fits my metric, you have to make money, I have to make money, no problem. I'm going to pay it. Could I beat people up left and right? Absolutely could. Are there items where they say X price, I want to pay a different price, and I walk, or maybe I can negotiate and maybe get it for my price? Sure, maybe just as well, but it's too slow, and it gets into the emotional back and forth, and you got to win the negotiation, you have to get it for your price, and yada yada. Or maybe you make a concession and you'll overpay a little bit. So I've just eliminated that from my business entirely, because when I first went out to the flea market, the other guy out there who I had perceived as my competition, he was holding an item worth $100, and the person said 5. He said, "Would you take 2?" And they sat there and negotiated back and forth. This was a clear as day $100 profit item. The next vendor, not even 3 feet away from him, I picked up an item that was $100 profit, and that vendor said $1. So if the guy would have just paid the 5, and who knows how long they were standing there before I got there, if he would have paid the 5, he would have moved 3 feet this way and picked up another item for 1, and he would have had $200 profit there. So that taught me real quick, I can't spend a lot of time negotiating on these deals. I need to give myself more opportunities. So, if we both got there at the same time and he negotiates on a bunch of stuff, maybe he sees 50% of the flea market in order for me to see 100% of the flea market. And in my mind, that was a better trade-off. So that's one of the reasons why I do not negotiate at all. So, we're at this market. Some people were priced high. Some people were respectable with the price. Another item that I bought was a North Face Supreme collaboration. It was a snakeskin jacket. That one's probably worth 200. I got that for 10. And I also got a pair of Doc Martens for 10. And I got a Mighty Ducks Sports Specialties plain logo. I got that for 10. Sold that for 100 immediately as it was listed. It had a little bit of wear on it, so I was happy with $100. But and then we had to walk all the stuff back. Like my son and I, we carried huge bags of stuff in the rain. Wasn't pleasant, but after getting thousands of dollars of potential profit, it was worth it. to take the opportunity and go do it. So we were walking around the city after that, and there was another little market there. From the outside looking in, I already knew that this market was going to be above the prices that I wanted to pay. It was a very curated market. It was kind of like an art market. We all know what I'm talking about. Like this is not exactly reseller friendly, but hey, let me give myself an opportunity. I like to go to these markets for two reasons. One of them is you can do a little bit of brand research. Let me look through these very expensive racks and maybe get alerted to a brand or a style or something that I don't know. And now that I see it's priced very high, let me put that one in the memory bank. I have learned so many brands by looking at racks in antique stores where it's priced high, looking at racks of other resellers that love to price high, by going to these curated markets where they love to price high. I have learned so many brands from this. So like every single opportunity is an opportunity to always get better and improve and refine your business and your craft and your knowledge. So we're looking around and I find a Chanel bomber jacket. It's the same Chanel jacket that Miley Cyrus wore in one of her videos. I've sold that jacket in my brick and mortar store for up to 500. I've had it a few times, maybe 3 or 4. I think I have 1 or 2 at the store now. And I've sold them anywhere from $300 to $500. People do list this item on eBay, and there are confirmed sales of $300 for this. The vendor said $40. So I paid the 40, no problem. And I'll make a couple $100 profit on that. But again, I could have walked past this place, psyched myself out, and said, you know what, outside looking in, this is like an art market. These people are priced high. This is not going to be cheap. There's nothing there for me. And I could have kept it pushing. So, walking around the city, there are opportunities everywhere and endlessly. And that's just not that city. That's every single city, across America. What I learned in New York City about sourcing in New York City, and there's difficulties everywhere, and there are weaknesses and strengths every single place that we go. So like if you live rural, your cost for storage is probably going to be much lower. Your cost for labor, maybe even much lower. If you live in the city, maybe you have more access to product, maybe better product, but your cost to store it is going to be much higher. Your overhead to get the item sellers is going to be much higher. Your labor is probably going to be much higher. So there's all of these trade-offs. So, walking around New York City, in a few select intersections, they'll have some street vendors. Maybe most of them just have, just stuff. And there's tens of thousands of people that walk past those street vendors on a daily basis. The first street vendor that, I saw quality stuff and did a deal with, I bought 2 Carhartt jackets, paid $100, so $50 each. And, I sell those jackets for $200, $250 at my brick and mortar store. As you guys know, they sell fantastic on eBay. But like tens of thousands of people have walked past this particular vendor, but were blind to the profit, blind to the value. Just like in San Francisco, where millions of people have walked past this store, but they were blind to the profit, blind to the potential, blind to the opportunity. So I bought the Carhartt jackets from the vendor, paid $50 each. And then, can make $300 or $400 profit on those very quickly. They sell great. We're coming into winter. And then, turn a profit on that. So, a week later, Saturday comes, the Meadowlands flea market, never been there before. We take the Uber, we drive over there. Fantastic flea market, great flea market. I can sense as soon as I get there that there's going to be deals here. There's going to be great products. So, we spend a couple hours there. We did absolutely fantastic, found very, very good stuff. And in New York, so in Florida, I have to dig through a lot of trash in order to find some good items. In New York, there's not a lot of trash. They have very, very, very good brands. Do some people price high like we're talking about? Yes, and that's okay. They're not candidates for my business. There's enough people that price their items in line with what I want to pay and where I can turn a profit. There's no problem with that. So, we get to the flea market, and as you guys know, like I love going to the flea market. Some people like golf, some people like fishing, some people like running. I like going to the flea market. I like winning the flea market. I like dominating the flea market. I like making educational videos for you guys so I can help you guys in some way, shape, and form. So that's why I still go out there, and I'll always go out to the flea market, probably to the day I die. And as I said earlier, I'll always be involved in clothing in some aspect because I truly believe it's the best way to multiply the money. So, a lot of you guys may not know I do wholesale now because the most valuable asset for my business, like I explained earlier, is the people that I have worked with that have access to the product that source all week. They come, they wash it, clean it, zip it, button, sell it to me. I put it in the pallets and I sell it elsewhere. So on eBay, I was selling between 250 and 300 items per day, making $20 profit each on average, making fantastic money. Great, no complaints. Now, the wholesale, we're up to selling 4,000 pieces of clothes per day. And even if I only make $2 profit per piece, that's still $8,000 profit just by putting items in a pallet, sending them off to somebody else, let them go hunt for all the profit, all the gold, and I'm just going to sell, 4,000 more pieces tomorrow. I don't have to worry about a scan from the post office. If the freight company doesn't come tomorrow, no penalty. We'll see you tomorrow. If my car breaks down on the way to the warehouse to pack the pallet, no problem. I'll do it tomorrow. If the person who I have hired to sort through everything and build the pallets gets sick, no problem. They can do it tomorrow. We're not under the eBay thumb and the money is the same color. It's still green. So I will always be involved in clothing in some sort of capacity. I will always be involved in going to the flea market and winning in some sort of capacity. So we go to the flea market, we do great. We find, very, very good stuff. A few items where, I can make $100 profit each. I have a video out on that as well. But one vendor in particular, I was able to find 19 pairs of shorts that is a very, very good brand, has over a 100% sell through. And I asked the $1,000,000 question, which I also have a video about. I asked a $1,000,000 question is, do you have any more? And they said, yes, but it's at their house. And they didn't speak English. They only spoke Spanish. My Spanish is good enough to get a deal done. I'm not fluent, but it's good enough to get a deal done. And when they said it's in La Casa, it's at the house, we exchanged phone numbers and they said that they had more. So I got 19 pairs of this particular brand, has over a 100% sell through. The brand sells for $30 to about $80, depending on what it is. And, I got it for a great price and asked if they had more. They said yes. So we exchanged information. That was that. I got everything that we got from the flea market, a couple $1,000s in profit, Uber to the UPS store, sent it all home, Ubered back to New York. So, no car, just waking up, giving myself the best opportunity to win, and armed with the best knowledge, I was able to go to a flea market I've never been to in my entire life and make a few $1,000s profit that day. But I made a good connection. And like Arwen said, I'm pursuing the people, not the product. So, that week we walk around New York City and we only took the subway one time, and that was to go up to the Bronx to Yankee Stadium. Other than that, we walked every single day in New York, 15, 20 miles per day, as you guys have saw on the videos and as the Fitbit says. So, like I said, you walk around, you see these little pop-ups, you see people selling clothing on racks, you see street vendors. On Sunday, we went to this little flea market in Chelsea. And everyone told me it's very expensive, they're priced high, yada, yada. No problem. I go over there, check it out. And they were priced very, very high. The first vendor that I just overheard gave a price without blinking said, yes, that dress is $650. And I said, well, that answers that. So, I continue shopping. I go to a few vendors and we find on a rack of clothing, the guy looks like he does clean outs or storage units, which again, these are people that I'm looking for. And I find a Ralph Lauren Polo Country vintage made in USA Navajo Indian jacket. And I ask how much, and he says, well, that's Ralph Lauren. How much do you want to pay? We do the dance a little bit, and he says, will you do 20? I says, yes. I buy it. That jacket is worth about $500. So this is in the middle of New York City, in a Chelsea market, where everyone warned me that it's very expensive, and everyone knows the price and it's too much money. $20, $500 jacket. On the same rack, there was a Supreme shirt I got for $5, maybe worth $40, nothing to write home about. But this particular day, we went to one little market and we would have come home with, $500 worth of profit. That's not a bad living right there. If you can go to one market and make $500 profit in one day, that ain't a bad living right there. So again, the opportunity was there. Could I have got psyched out by a lot of people that told me, oh, don't worry about that one, they know everything? Sure. But I wake up every single day with an obligation and a duty to put my feet on the ground and go out and find money and make money. So later on that day, the people from the Meadowlands flea market called me in Spanish, and I did, part of the deal on Google Translate, because like I said, I'm not fluent. I know enough. I try my best. And anyone that speaks a different language, as long as you're trying your best, they appreciate that. So I'm trying my best. And they tell me that they have 1,000 more of this particular item. So I did a little bit of homework, did a little bit of research, talked to some people in the area, and they told me that this brand that has 100% sell-through had a storage unit in Pennsylvania that they lost the storage unit of. So they failed to pay and the storage unit went to auction and these items are out there. So they told me they had 1,000 of this item. I said, okay, great. Where are you? I'd like to check them out. I'd like to purchase them. You don't have to bring them to the flea market. You don't have to acquire a new customer. You don't have to lug them back and forth. You don't have to try to sell these over the course of the next 3 months. I will come there and I will buy everything and I will pay you a fair price. So they tell me where they are. Never been there in my life. They're about an hour away from the city. So they're somewhere in New Jersey, about 30 minutes past the flea market that I went to prior. I show up, nice neighborhood, great little neighborhood, small houses, great neighborhood like you would see in a movie. Go inside, as advertised, they have 1,000 items, and we pack them all up. I pay the price. Don't have a car, but now I have 1,000 items. So now we have to get this figured out, and that's part of every single day waking up, looking for the money, looking for the opportunity. Figure out the rest when you get there. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. And that's the important part. And again, when Arwen was here, he must have peppered me with 1,000 questions. In the beginning, I answered every single one of them. Towards the end, I turned the corner on him and I said, Arwen, you'll figure it out. Arwen, you'll figure it out. Arwen, you'll figure it out. Because you can only answer so much. You can only figure out so much today, right now. But until it actually happens, until you get punched in the face, like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So like you can have a plan, any kind of plan you want. But until something actually happens, you got to get to that point where you say, okay, now I have to figure this out. So as my wife and I were in this strange house with these strange people in a strange city we've never been to, we just slammed the door on the Uber and said, thank you for driving us 1 hour. We appreciate it. And here we are. And I'm buying these 1,000 items. We're putting them in totes. And my wife looks at me and she gives me that look of, what are we going to do? And she knows I'll figure it out, but she gives me the look, what are we going to do? And I say, we'll figure it out. Let's just put this stuff in a bag and let's do what we got to do. So the plan was to get an Uber, maybe it's an SUV or a truck. We put it all in, we go to the UPS store. If a car shows up, we got to take 2 Ubers. She takes an Uber, she puts the stuff in her car. I take an Uber, I put the stuff in my car. We meet at the UPS store. Plan C, which was the plan that I was hoping would work, is, hey, I don't have a car here. I'm from Florida. Would you mind putting this stuff into your car, driving over to the UPS store and helping me out and getting this stuff over there? Now, if you guys know flea market vendors, their car is 24/7 loaded up with stuff. He says, no problem. We unload his car. We put my stuff in. He drives me over to the UPS store. I buy boxes over there. I weigh the items. We get the dimensions. I go on pirate ship. I buy the labels and I ship them to the person who they're supposed to go to. So I already had the deal locked up in line for the person that I was going to wholesale these particular items to that have a 100% sell through. Here's 1,000 units. And if I make a couple bucks per unit, I make a couple $1,000 identifying the deal, going to UPS, boxing them up, shipping them out. So I identified the buyer. They said they're in at this particular price. I got the items at this particular price. I had no car. The vendor slash seller drove us over to UPS, helped us bring it inside, shook my hand and said, if I get more items, I'll text you. Even if you're in Florida, I'll ship them down. And that's great. And this person just texted me this weekend and I'm already back home in Florida. So, I woke up, looked for an opportunity, figured it out after I got there, shipped everything home, picked up a couple dollars, and went back to the city and had fun for the rest of the day. So, there's opportunity everywhere. There's opportunity around us. And that particular deal for those particular items, 1,000 items, the selling price is $30 to $80. So figure conservatively $30,000 to $50,000 worth of stuff, eBay price. Like this is a $20,000, $30,000 potential profit deal that I was able to scoop up by asking the right questions and looking for the right opportunities in a strange, faraway land that I've never even been to before. But I woke up with a mission to get after the money. I woke up in a mission to make something happen. And I'm always waking up to make something happen. And when Arwen was here, he would wake up and he says, what's the plan for today? And he's probably laughing right now because I would say, we're going to make something happen today. And that has always been the mantra, is like, we got to make something happen. I can't wait for somebody to come knock on my door and say, hey, here's a tremendous opportunity. I can't wait for somebody to hand me a tremendous opportunity when I don't make the effort to ask them a question that's going to lead to the tremendous opportunity, such as, do you have any more? I don't expect someone to check off all the boxes and say, you know what, this is great product. I've already front loaded the information. I know this brand. I know it has a tremendous sell through. I know I can buy it at this price and still make a boatload of money. Do you have any more? Because I didn't see that vendor that had the 19 pairs the first time I went to the flea market at the crack of dawn. I bought those 19 pairs at about 10 a.m. I got there at 7. There's a ton of resellers at this flea market, a ton of shoppers, a ton of vintage guys at this flea market. Everybody missed it. I saw a corner of the logo on an item underneath another item. And I said, that's a good brand right there. Picked it up. Oh, wait, there's another one. Picked it up. Oh, wait, there's another one. Picked it up. And next thing you know, I got 19. I asked for the price. We do the deal. I say, do you have any more? I'm looking for the opportunity, pursuing the people, not the product. Putting myself in a position that is going to result in the most beneficial result as possible for me and my business. So, in New York City, we crushed it at the flea market. In New York City, we made a great connection with great people that brought me over to the UPS store. No car, Ubered back to New York City. They offered to drive me back to New York City. I said, no, don't have to worry about that. I'll get myself back. And we even went to the thrift stores in New York City. We walked 6 miles and we went to about 5 or 6 thrift stores. The price was in line with what it would be in South Florida. One of the thrift stores that we went to, the price was maybe 10 or 15, maybe 20% higher than what I would like to pay. There were still profitable items there, but the price was a little bit higher. But for the most part, the other stores were in line with what I would pay in Florida. As an example, a Peter Millar shirt was $7.99 in South Florida, about the same, maybe $8.99, maybe some places $6.99, but they had a $7.99, same thing that we have. We went to a couple kind of like curated vintage stores, and we could walk past those and say, yeah, we'll have better luck at thrifts. Walk into one of those, there was a Lawrence Taylor, Jerry Cosby jersey, which has comps for 200 or 300. They wanted 25. So they didn't know about that particular item. You can go into those curated stores, just like we went into that curated flea market, and you can find an item. You can find a few items, make a couple bucks, and then keep it pushing. So if we would have passed by the curated vintage market, I wouldn't have picked up the jacket for 40 that I can sell for up to 500. If I would have passed by this curated vintage store, I wouldn't have picked up the jersey that's worth $300 for $25 because I knew a key indicator. Jerry Cosby, Gerry Cosby. They make great hockey jerseys. If you've ever listed a Jerry Cosby hockey jersey and it's sold in 1 second, you done messed up because those jerseys can be worth thousands of dollars. So I already knew from the sleeve that this is an old item. It was 20 feet away. I walk up, I look at it. Okay, this one's coming home with us. Put myself in the opportunity. We can walk, we could just walk by. Because when I say most opportunity, I mean the most opportunities. Does everywhere that I walk in, does profitable inventory rain from the sky? No. But I'm at least giving myself the opportunity. I'm at least being part of the game. And we got to put ourselves in the game. And when we go to the thrift store that's right on the corner, we're not putting ourselves in the game, the right game. We're putting ourselves in the game of the closest, most convenient, the easiest place to do business and try to have them fund our entire business and therefore fund our entire lifestyle. Like I said, if I got on here and said, only go to the most convenient thrift store the least amount of times per week, at any time you feel free to roll out of bed and go there, that would be ridiculous to talk about. But I come on here and say, give yourself the opportunity to find the best products at the best price. I don't say best price, best product. Best price, best product means you go to the flea market and you only go to the people that sell stuff for $1. You are going to get dollar type items. You're going to go there and pick the best items off their table that you can get for $1. That's different than best product, best price. $40 for a jacket that I can sell for $500, no problem. $50 for a jacket I can sell for $500, no problem. $50 for a Carhartt I can sell for $200, no problem. And we sit here and say, well, I don't have $50. I get it. I understand. I've been there. I took the ride twice. I've seen it. But we have to build up our bankroll. I've told you guys the story 100 times. I used to buy PlayStation 2 controllers for $2, list them on eBay and sell them for $6.88. After fees, I probably got back $5.50. Turned my 2 into $5.50. Went back to the flea market and bought 2 or 3 more. Went back to the flea market and bought 10. Went back to the flea market and bought 20. Went back to the flea market and bought 30, 40, 50. And just had those items selling through so quickly because they were in demand. And you can go to the flea market right now and identify an item. Maybe it's a PlayStation motion controller. Maybe it's a PS3 controller. I don't know, but the items are out there. There are items out there that you can get for cheap, have a good sell through, turn your money, roll your money as quickly as possible, build up that bankroll until you can afford to get better items that are going to be more profitable. That's part of it. I didn't pop out of my mother's womb with a bunch of money. I started with $35, rolled that same $35 into a multi-million-dollar eBay business and a multi-million-dollar wholesale business that I'm doing today. I have not put a bunch of money into my business. I only use the customer's money. That's it. I don't use my money. I use the customer's money. When the customer purchases an item from me, I get my original investment back that I redeploy. I take some of their money that they have given me and I improve and advance my business. This is not my money. This is the customer's money. Customer pays my fees. Customer pays for my shipping supplies. Customer pays for my warehouse. Customer pays for my reinvestment into inventory. Customer has given me my original investment back. Not me. I've never used debt. I've never taken on a loan. I've never done anything with credit cards. Never did that. Only used the customer's money because I wake up every single day and say, who has my money? If it's Saturday, the flea market has my money. If it's Sunday, the flea market has my money. If it's Monday, it ain't the closest thrift store that got my money, but some thrift store got my money. Someone on Instagram got my money. Someone knocking on some door somewhere has my money. Somebody has the money. So we have to put ourselves into the best opportunity that we possibly can. Walking down the street, leaving New York City, the day we were leaving, another street vendor, I see he has great stuff. I see a Canada Goose jacket. I see the patch. Start looking through his racks. He has great stuff. One of the items that he has is a Kith Pendleton collaboration. I asked the price. He says $30. I know this is worth about $300. No problem. Do the deal. On his rack also, he had an Iceberg History sweater, 2 of them. I've sold one of them, the same exact one for $400. The Sylvester the Cat one with the Pepe Le Pew. I've sold that one for $300 or $400. He told me 20 for those, but they had too much moth holes on them because they're made of wool. So that stop, if those 2 would have been in good condition, would have been 30, 20, and 20, and it would have sold for 300, 300, 300. So, 70 bucks into $1,000 because I took the time to arm myself with the information, the knowledge, stop at his racks, identify the good ones, pay him a fair price. And you know what happened when I paid him a fair price? He got out of his van, said thank you, introduced himself as someone who buys storage units in New York City because he knows people in New York City dress nice. So he goes after clothing storage units. And guess what he asked me? He asked me the $1 million question. Do you buy clothes? Well, yes, I do. Unfortunately, I live in Florida, though. So if I lived in New York City, that would have been a great connection for me to meet because he says he sets up at street vendors all different days of the week. I was happy enough to find him that day. It's not luck. The more amount of effort that I have put into this business, the luckier I started to get. It's funny how that works, right? The more amount of effort that I put into doing this, the luckier I get. People say, oh, you're lucky to find all that stuff. Luck didn't have nothing to do with waking me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, driving 3 hours away so I can get there at 7, and then taking the time to go through all the booths, looking for great people that have great product. That's not luck. Luck, my alarm didn't luckily go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and my feet luckily didn't hit the ground. But the more amount of effort that I took, the luckier I always started to get in this business. So we buy the great item from him up there, get on the plane, come home. And, I've just been reflecting and thinking a lot. So at the flea market, met a great person. They do storage units. They have they have deal flow. We met that guy. He does storage units. We have deal flow. The flea markets did fantastic over there. There's opportunities, there's items, and there's people everywhere. I used to be embarrassed, maybe a little bit ashamed, scared to tell people that I buy stuff and list it online and make money, and that's what I do for a living. But when I started to open up, gain my confidence, and tell them, yeah, this is what I do. Like I take stuff and I list it online, and I have an online store. Or, yeah, I am the #1 seller of pre-owned men's clothing on eBay. We do a few $1 million per year. Nice to meet you. I'm always looking for product. The shift in that mind state and that mentality, the shift in I have an obligation and a duty to wake up every single day and put my feet on the ground and go out and get money because I'm not getting a paycheck this week. No one is giving me a paycheck this week because I'm showing up. And as business owners, we need to understand, that there is a difference between signing the back of a check and there's the difference between signing the front of a check. If you sign the back of a check, you are endorsing that check as an employee or someone that has been given that check. You are endorsing that check and you are cashing somebody else's money at the bank. If you are signing the front of a check, that is different than signing the back of a check. So when I understood that me signing the front of that check, that was my money paying for goods, my money paying for a service, it was me putting the money out that I had to go out and go get. Nobody gave me this money. If I stay home today, no one's giving me money. If I don't do my listings today, no one is giving me money. I don't get credit for listing items up on eBay. eBay doesn't pay me out because I listed items on eBay. My active screen that shows this humongous number of what my eBay store is worth means absolutely nothing. That is unrealized profit, that if no one ever purchases those items, you don't get a damn thing. We only get paid when we sell items. That is it. So if we are not being proactive, if we are not listing our items correctly, if we are not being consistent, if we're not waking up and going out there and putting boots on the ground and putting ourselves in the best position to pursue the people, not the product, our life is a lot more difficult as resellers. But when I made the shift on all of those, my business absolutely exploded and my life got a lot easier. So right now, I have a lot of great people that I partner with and do business with. These guys who look for items for me, these are my partners in these business. I need them just as much as they need me. The post office is a partner of my business. The eBay is a partner of my business. We have a partnership. I need eBay just as much as eBay needs me. And because I need them and they need me, it needs to be a respectful relationship where I am putting up good product at a good price with the right keywords and doing the absolute very best for those customers that eBay is doing their job and getting for me. That is a two-way street. Everything is a two-way street, but you have to hold up on your side of the obligation in order for that street to work. So when I have figured out that this is not a scarcity mentality anymore, there is an overabundance. We can walk into any thrift store in America and replace the item that we just sold today, aside from a very, very minute, select, low percentage of. And the more items that you touch, the more people that you meet, the more you process, those scarcity items start popping up. Luckily, doesn't have anything to do with what we've done. They luckily start popping up much, much higher at a much more advanced clip. You guys watch my videos. Every single weekend, I'm picking up some kind of scarce, rare, hugely popular item, hugely profitable item. They're out there, but we're not putting ourselves in the right position to go out and go find them. And that is the conversation that I wanted to have today. Put yourself in a position to wake up, go out, identify the good products, identify the good people, put your money to work into a vehicle that is going to turn you a good profit in a good amount of time. Let the customers pay all of your bills and all of your expenses. Rinse and repeat. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. But what you do have to do is put yourself in that position with the knowledge, get the most amount of knowledge, and give yourselves the most amount of opportunities. Because whether you are in California, never been there in my life, came home with 100,000. Whether you go to New York City, never sourced there in my life, found one deal worth 30 to 50,000, never mind all the home run deals worth a couple hundred. You guys got me fired up now. Never mind that. If I would have stayed in the hotel and talked myself out of going to do it, I lose everything and don't come home with nothing. But when I make these videos in places I've never been before, I know I have the confidence and the skill that I will not fail because of everything that I'm willing to do that you're not. So make sure that you wake up, you go out, you find the money, you are self-starting. We're signing the front of checks, not the back of checks. And it is our duty, our obligation, and our goal to make sure that we are putting the best product that we possibly can into our business. No negotiations, nothing. No speculating, no gamble. We are making analytical, correct decisions on every single item that we are buying, profit-wise, sell-through-wise, and putting the best fuel inside of our reselling vehicle that we absolutely possibly can. So I appreciate all of you guys, every single one of you guys, for listening to the podcast for 1 year. I've had a great job talking to you guys. I've had a great time talking to all of you guys. I hope that these videos are helpful. These are my experiences. I'm not the boss of anybody. I'm just telling you what works for me. And a lot of people talk work-life balance, this and that, this and that. I was able to build a great business, never miss a single thing from my son, took him to school every single day, picked him up, dropped him off to baseball, watched every single game in practice, never missed an assembly, nothing. That's work-life balance. Working on eBay for 12 hours when it's supposed to take 3, that's not work-life balance. So make sure we're getting our work done on time and make sure we are being responsible with our business, responsible with our time. And if it's supposed to take 3 hours, let it take 3 hours and then go do something else. Don't turn a 3, 4 hour, 5 hour eBay day into a 12, 13, 14, 15 hour eBay day. That's not work-life balance. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to come and just share some thoughts. We'll get some more guests back on here shortly, but I appreciate all of you guys. 1 year anniversary of the podcast. And I hope all of you guys have enjoyed them. So my last question that I have for all of you guys, what was your favorite podcast? Put it down below. Favorite podcast that we have done in this last year. I hope these words are helpful. I hope the information is helpful. That's all I want to do, is help as many people as possible. Sometimes I'm fired up. Sometimes I get passionate, but I just want everybody to crush it. You don't have to crush it millions of dollars, but if you want to list one item today, I want you to crush it. You want to list 10 items today, I want you to crush it. You want to be the #1 seller in the entire world, I want you to crush it. So thank you, everybody. Till next time. Be great. Thank you.